Mafia!
It is Eagles Talk on A2D Radio, and as always, we are brought to you by Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed bread, tomato pie, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. We are live. It's your boy Chucks, and coming in just on time, kind of late as usual, last minute. Professionally tardy, as I can maybe say, is one PY. What's going on? How are you?
A wizard is never late. He arrives exactly when he means to.
Yeah, I don't. I'm Star Wars over Lord of the Rings, so
that's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, we are live. PY, how are you feeling? Are you still on that high from yesterday's amazing comeback victory?
So I go from spending a week in South Carolina to like running on like fumes on a Sunday morning to go into the game or watching the game at the bar. I'm like, my heart is in my chest the entire time. And that last like 2 minutes, I swear to God, like I thought I was gonna have an asthma attack on my way home.
Oh my God.
I can't breathe. Like I'm like hyperventilating. Like I told my buddy, I'm like, dude, we need like another 5 minutes. Let's order something else so I can breathe.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I hope you had a good time down in South Carolina. Ironically, what's really funny
is that Brinks is down there.
And that Brinks is down there too.
So the best part of being down there is we went to Charleston for my birthday. And I ended up buying like an Eagles coaster or something. I said, "Oh, this is cool. My favorite Eagles design." He's like, I'm actually an Eagles fan. The guy who sold it to me is like, "There's like a lot of Eagles bars in Charleston." I said, "What?" Because you would never expect that. You would never expect that.
I would not have expected that. I would not have expected that. That's weird. That's cool though. Weird in a cool way. So
you know what else is cool?
So what?
Winning on a blocked field goal.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. So apparently Charleston and the Tampa area are big sub hives for Eagles.
I'll never get the Tampa thing. There's a guy who calls on WIP at least like every few months who's from Tampa, and he's like always talking about like how big of an Eagles hive it is down there, and I never get it. Like, what is it about Tampa?
I don't know, because I know that in general, for this area, the Northeast, like, New York and Philadelphia area, a lot of people, they retire or they move down to Florida. It's just always been the thing. Like there's a lot of people down there. And maybe that's where it kind of like grew from just a lot of just this area people retiring and going there and then staying down there. I mean, whenever I go down to Disney or Universal or whatnot, or I go to Tampa to visit my brother-in-law's family, it's so many Eagles fans. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. But Charleston, we'll have to add that to a list of places that have a lot of Eagles fans. So that's good to know. It's very, very good to know. But yeah, let's get to this game because PY, as we alluded to, winning on a blocked field goal. I don't know if I've ever really Matt Ware in 2005. Was that 2005? Yeah, that was a blocked field goal too, I believe. So that it doesn't happen often, but it's very, very impressive. So let's get to the conversation about that victory. But by starting off with our poll question of the evening, the Eagles don't need their run game to be as dominant as it was in 2024 for them to win the Super Bowl again. Agree or disagree? So if you're listening, fam, definitely let us know what you think. We saw the Eagles offense be asleep for the first half. The first drive was one thing, and then the second half, you had the first possession that was bad, and then from there, it was just let's go. So the passing attack, which we alluded to last week on Eagles Talk. We didn't have Eagles Talk last week. Les was joining me and Pete on Film Don't Lie, and we were talking about how this passing attack will really need to wake up. And lo and behold, the passing attack woke up and was able to help that comeback victory. So seeing how things played out and seeing how the run game still hasn't found the type of dominance they've had last year. PY, do you think this where we don't need the run game to be as dominant as it was in 2024? Can we win like this where it's now we're back to being a pass first team and a run team secondary, or do you think the run game is still the key?
So I think the run game is still very important, and I think like having a weapon like Saquon is important because he can take the offense to new levels. But no, I don't think it has to be as dominant to win a Super Bowl. Look at 2023. Like, obviously, we didn't have that type of running performance. Like, DeAndre Swift was good, but he wasn't like Saquon. And they went 11-6. Like they,
yeah, but they
obviously. But my point, at least let me get to the point before you poo-poo it. So they had to collapse, right? Can we be a 2023 offense while having what the defense that we have right now? Because if we had half of what the defense was of this in 2023, we probably go to an NFC championship game. Like if A.J. Brown doesn't get hurt like the week prior, like maybe we're having a different conversation. Maybe we win that game in Tampa. We were a good enough offense to go deep in the playoffs. The issue was we had the worst pass defense in the NFL. We couldn't rush anyone. Our safeties were cheeks. That's not the case here. Like Jalen has shown he could be an effective passer. He can do what he needs to do with his legs. When the game is on the line and it's on his shoulders, he can win the game for you. Maybe you don't need Saquon busting it for 150 yards every game. Because if you can be that 2023 team with an effective offense, but not having a bottom defense, because even if like you had like half of that, or maybe instead of being the 31st pass coverage team, maybe you're the 21st and maybe you go further. And that's kind of what I feel with this team is Jalen is phenomenal. AJ and Devontae are next level wide receivers. Dallas Goedert's a top 5 tight end when he's on the field. Saquon is still going to give you good stuff. AJ Dillon has looked solid, not anything special.
I mean,
he's been solid. Like he's running back too. Like whatever. Like it doesn't matter to me. And the defense has looked good. They've given up 4.5 points over three games in the second half. That's special. Even if it's not the number 1 defense. Can we say it's top 10 right now? Because it looks that. Like, if we're having this arguments over CB2, like, obviously, Isaiah Rodgers not being here is awful because he had the greatest game in the history of quarterbacks. 99. They gave a 99 rating. So, I also want to throw this out there. So, I want to put an award out there for every Eagles season going forward. It's going to be the Isaiah Rodgers Award. That one guy who we just decided, we don't need him, and then just blows up.
That'd be an interesting award.
That would, because you'd have a lot of fun, because you'd be able to look at guys around the league. Like, who did we let go and who doesn't suck this season?
Oh my God. It feels like a lot.
Yeah. As much as I want another dominant Saquon season, I said if you get to 1,500, like, I think it's a great season for Saquon. At this point, if he gets to 1,200, I'm okay. Because at the end of the day, like, this team, as a specialist, what Saquon was last year, I think we downplayed a little bit the effectiveness and the importance of Jalen Hurts in this offense, because it just, when Pickett was there, as special as Saquon was, we didn't look the same. Because of what he can do in the run game and play action and things like that. Like, there was no threat when Pickett was there. Like, you're just like, oh yeah, he's not running nowhere. He's staying in the pocket and he's doing stupid Kenny Pickett things. You know what I mean? He's 2 gloves for a reason. So I just think that, like, even if the run game is not as special as it was last year, I think you can make a deep playoff run with this quarterback because he's cerebral. He's a psychopath who doesn't care about anything other than winning. He could put up 400 yards of offense on it by himself if he needs to, or he can put a $125, keep the turnovers to a minimum. I think a major portion is, can he not turn the ball over, and can our defense not be the worst in the league? So yeah, without a dominant run game, yes, you can still have Super Bowl hopes.
Gotcha. All right. So I'm going to bring in our good friend, Mr. Les Bowen. Les, how are you?
Great, guys. How are you?
Les, did you send a handwritten apology note to Jordan Davis?
Yeah, that was pretty funny, wasn't it?
It's hysterical.
The viewers don't know what we're talking about. Like a lot of people, I was unimpressed with the first half of the Eagles game Sunday. And at one point late in the second quarter, I actually tweeted, is Jordan Davis playing?
I didn't see that.
So, of course, you gotta, when you do something like that, you have. So at the end of the game, I quote tweeted it like, yeah, hey, come on, everybody, let's go. Let's hear it right now. I don't want to hear about this 3 days from now from some little dweeb. Let's all have our fun at the moment. But honest to God, I felt like when they were getting killed, I didn't see him doing much. I saw Carter getting double teamed a lot. I didn't see Jordan getting double teamed, but he made up for it in the second half. So all's well that ends well.
All's well, yeah. That's funny. I did not catch it. I didn't see you tweet that. But yeah, so our poll question, Eagles don't need the run game to be as dominant as it was in 2024 in order for them to win the Super Bowl again. Les, what do you think? I mean, PY, he made a compelling argument and he explained it very well. But what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I never thought they would be able to do it the exact same way. I never thought Saquon Barkley was going to run for 2,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. That just doesn't happen. I kind of think maybe they thought they were going to do that from the way they started out with the offense the first couple games and even started out yesterday. I think it reminds me a little bit of the last time they went to the Super Bowl and they started out the next season. Nick had all this stuff about trying to refine the things that they were doing well the year before instead of coming up with new stuff. Yeah, and that was a disaster because the opponents spend the offseason figuring out, exactly how you did what you were doing well and how they can stop it. And in the case of like the Rams yesterday, they actually went out and acquired players to stop it. So no, you're not going to do it exactly the same way. They don't need to do it exactly the same way. They certainly proved yesterday, if anybody had any doubts, they can do it by throwing the ball. But I do think, and I think this is important, they're not going to just forget Saquon Barkley. What happened in the second half, Barkley didn't get a lot of carries. But what you saw after they scored a touchdown and after they proved that they could move the ball through the air, the few carries Barkley had, he gained yards. There were holes there. He didn't break one, but he was getting 5-6 yards, which was not the case. It has not been the case in very many carries this season, really, especially the last couple of weeks. So I think if they open it up and throw more and score some points and get leads that way, the run game will bounce back to a very, very respectable level. But no, they're not going to, set records again that way. Everybody spent the whole offseason making sure they wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point. I think that, I'll say this. I agree to the poll simply because it's 2024 was you could argue the greatest single season for a running back if you include playoffs, right?
Right.
To expect that again is kind of like far-fetched. And I think leading up to the season, I think we all had said, like, we don't think Saquon's going to regress. He's not going to be a worse player. We think he's still going to be really good. He's underplaying it. We think he's still going to be elite, but that doesn't mean he has to have 2,000 yards rushing. He can still be elite and still have numbers that aren't as good, but still still in that elite category where he's top 3 in rushing in the league, and still showing that production wise he's still up there. So he doesn't need to have the same type of season. He just still needs to be him. He still needs to be elite and make the plays when we need him to. I think that we need to just remember that because I had my friend Johnny Page on Twitter, and he does amazing work, and we always discuss stuff, and he had said that the Eagles need to have this running game start to click in order to fix everything, and that's me paraphrasing. He didn't say exactly those words, but I respectfully disagreed with that, because in my opinion, I know that people believe that a good run game will set up the pass, so on and so forth, and that's one thing, but there's too much talent on this team,
right? And that's what yesterday showed.
Exactly, there's way too much talent on this team for you to be like, okay, like we need the run game for this to be successful. No, like if the run game isn't working, then you should be able to go to your other elite players to make it work, to make something work, and that showed in the second half versus the Eagles is that okay, enough is enough. Let's just get the ball to our elite guys, to our other guys to make them work play. So, I do have Film Don't Lie tomorrow with Pete, and we are going to cover. We weren't going to cover the Eagles, but with that game being what it was, we are going to talk about it tomorrow. So I'm trying to save some of my points for tomorrow. But let's get into that second half.
Yes.
And Les, we'll start with you. What did you pick up that they did differently that impressed you the most? So what is the one thing that you took away and like, okay, this was one of the main reasons why they were able to come back?
Well, Jalen Hurts. But before I say that, even funnier than my Jordan Davis comment yesterday was, so we had family in town, and we had made a commitment to go to the Extreme Musical Festival over the weekend, and it was going on Sunday, so we didn't really need to be there. My brother-in-law wanted to see a certain act that started around 3:30, so I watched the first half, and then I watched the strip sack fumble, and I watched the Rams score and make it 23-6, and I thought, well, or 26-7. I'm sorry, make it 26-7. And I thought, well, okay, I don't mind leaving and not watching the rest of this. I watched it today. I did follow it on my phone, and I was it's hard to know what the hell is going on. Even with the apps are pretty good these days.
But it's still hard.
When the Rams are lined up for a game-winning field goal, and suddenly your phone says the score is 33-26, you're like,
what happened? Is this a glitch? Is this a glitch in the app?
So anyway, to get back to your question, by the way, if you're superstitious, this might mean I can never watch the Eagles again. I don't know, but I saw Hurts in the second half. I saw A.J. Brown and Devontae. A.J. especially on some of those third down, he was vicious, just taking the ball.
He had two games of being pissed off.
Yeah, he was kind of like doing Kevin Patullo. Here's what I can do. And I know I don't buy into any of the narratives about AJ being angry or disaffected or any of that, but I do think he was making a point yesterday. And, it was a point. You
got a dog, let him off the leash.
Yeah, the Eagles should take into consideration very seriously. Now, every defense isn't like that. He was playing against a smaller corner. I think it was man a little more often than it had been, but nonetheless, you can do stuff like that. I mean, it kind of frustrates me that they don't. Their first touchdown, 33 yards down the pipe, down the middle to Dallas Goedert, his only catch of the game.
How crazy is that?
I just, but yeah, that I saw the offense really click into gear and kind of figure out what it can be, which is something that needed to happen. The defense certainly kept the Rams off the scoreboard. The 2 blocked field goals obviously were a big part of that. I still wasn't totally happy with the defense. I liked the pass rush, didn't like the run stopping at all.
Yeah.
And didn't love the pass defense in a lot of cases. We got into a thing, I wrote about this on PHLY, where people were saying things like, well, at least Jacorian Bennett tackles Nakua after he catches the ball, and Jackson wasn't even doing that. When you get to that point, that's not a discussion you want to have.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's a lot still going on defensively. There are some wonderful things that they do. They are a much better defense, as PY noted, than they were a couple of years ago still. But they've got to figure out some stuff there. They really do still,
But it's early.
And it didn't all get fixed in the second half. The offense had the ball most of the second half, and that helped the Eagles quite a bit. They helped the defense quite a bit. But, yeah, I saw Jalen Hurts, I saw A.J., and I saw Devontae in the second half. And, of course, Fred Johnson. I saw Fred Johnson.
God bless him.
Johnson. Yep. Yeah. PY, how about you? What did you take away from the comeback that was like, this is a huge reason why?
Kevin Patullo needs to open the playbook past page 1 and see that there's other options. Maybe the pages were stuck together. I don't know. Maybe it's a really tough binder to open. I don't like the fact that because Jalen's not animated on sidelines. That's not who he is. He's not Psycho T breaking helmets, slapping tablets across the bench. That's not him. He's legitimately cussing Kevin Patullo out on the sideline or having a very animated discussion with him, basically saying, I'm him. Let me do what I do. Let me get my guys open. Let me do what I know I can do and what I did in the Super Bowl. And that's find guys and toss the ball and throw deep shots because I'm the best in the league at doing it. He's the best deep ball thrower in the NFL. And I understand that, you want to be a little passive, you have to play. This is what you want to set the game up to be, you're trying to make the run happen. You're trying to limit turnovers. You have a game plan. I get that. But he's a dog. You have stars, superstars, the offensive weapons, and you're just not letting them do anything. You're not, there's training wheels on this offense. There doesn't need to be. Understand it if you didn't 100% believe in the quarterback. This is a Super Bowl MVP winning quarterback. This is a all-pro quarterback. He can get it done. He can pass the ball. He can do what he has to do.
Well, PY, I think one problem before yesterday was in the first 2 games, you have a lead in the second half. It's a tight, low-scoring game. And I said this before. Chuck's heard me say it.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a tight, low-scoring game. You've got the ball in the second half with a lead. You can run for 3 yards, throw a very safe pass for 4 or 5 yards, and push and move the chains. And then you can run for 3 yards, throw a very safe pass, push, and move the chains. And that's kind of seductive. I mean, you're not taking any chances there. The clock is running, and, you're going to score points or at least keep the ball away from the other team, and you're winning. But yesterday they weren't winning. And so that was a very needed development to show that they could do something else, and they did.
Yeah, what I will say, and I'm like I said, I'm gonna save the in-depth stuff for tomorrow, for my show tomorrow. But what I will say is, there were elements of the passing offense that were different, and that I was able to catch after watching the film. What I will also say though is that in the first half, it's not like they weren't being aggressive. There were actually there were several play designs that were targeting the middle and the deep levels of the field. They were incorporating more, different things like QB runs, right? We saw in the first half, we saw a successful QB run, a design QB run by Jalen Hurts. So like,
but the blocking was so bad after Lane left that
that might have played a part in it. But I will say again, like I'm not trying to weight all this because it's hard to say definitively because I'm not there. It's hard to say definitively like what percentage is at fault for them getting behind and looking so poor in the first place. But a good chunk of their issues was execution issues.
Yeah.
If you look at like the all 22, they had there were a lot of plays where the spacing and the route execution by the receivers was really bad. If you guys remember on that first possession where we do eventually score, but there was Hurts tried. It looks like Hurts is targeting Devontae Smith on an out route, but then Jahan Dotson's right there and he gets his hand on it, right? And you see them both of them really close together, like that. That's bad route spacing. There was another one I think in the second quarter where there's two receivers. I'm pretty sure it was Darius Cooper and someone else where they're literally like in the middle of the field right next to each other. And then there's another play where A.J. Brown just doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't run the route because he's not sure what the call is and all that. Like there were several instances in the first half where the execution just wasn't there. So I can't say. I know PY loves to pile on Kevin Patullo because he has this agenda against.
There's a lot to pile on.
But if you actually looked at the film, there was some good things they were drawing up, and they were getting open downfield, and they were calling plays downfield. It just the execution still wasn't there. So it wasn't just Patullo; it was the players too not really being on the same page. Pass protection obviously being a big issue. So it's a mix of things, and the changes we saw in the second half really did help. Plus, Fred Johnson, like you said, Les. Plus, like it was just the biggest change, in my opinion, was they stopped doing so many condensed sets. They spread it out, and they had 3-by-1 formations with AJ Brown isolated as the single X. So in doing that, you get AJ Brown in a lot of one-on-one matchups because the defense is usually their tendency is to send the numbers over to the trip side. They want to be at least 4 over 3 in that end. So they're gonna leave one-on-one on AJ Brown's side more often than not, and that's when you saw a lot of those the slant, the sluggo. You saw the touchdown, the back shoulder fade touchdown. You saw both third down conversions on the game-winning drive. Those were examples of him isolated in a 3-by-1 set, and that was the biggest change for me schematically that we saw in the second half. So
I wanted to ask you, Chuck. I think this was you on social media. Maybe it was somebody else. I'm old and I don't remember things, but it looks like when they're having trouble running early in games, that they're trying to run the exact same concepts that they ran last year a lot, like right up the middle. And this is what teams, like we were saying earlier, this is what teams have devoted months to figuring out. And they just need to do something a little different, not run the ball, but try another way of doing it.
I think schematically it's a good conversation. Schematically in the run concept area, like it's always the Eagles have for years, and this is going back to like Doug Peterson and that and like everything, especially under Jeff Stoutland, under Jeff Stoutland. They run a lot. Their bread and butter run call is inside zone. That's like they spam that, and they've been so good at it. A big reason why is because their offensive line is so good. So even though the defense can key on it, there's not much they can do when your offensive line is dominating. The issue right now, the biggest issue, is that the interior of the offensive line isn't dominating like it was last year.
Right.
Jurgens has been okay, but not great. Tyler Steen is what we feel like. He's a solid right guard. Probably like, a little bit better than Mekhi Becton was at pass protection, but he's not nearly the type of mauler that Becton was in the run game. And we saw like Becton, like he would move people in the run game,
Right.
Move people in the run game.
Yes.
And then Dickerson on the other side is probably the biggest factor. Is he's not healthy. He's hurt.
Right,
and
right.
I don't want to speak ill of him because he is playing tough and we know like he's trying and like I commend him for that. But you can tell it's really bad, and he's a liability on a lot of these runs, a lot of these breakdowns in the run game, and then it's because he's giving up ground. And that even that one screen to Saquon that kind of just went nowhere, that's because Dickerson wasn't able to keep his block. And so, that's the main issue with the run game is the interior of the offensive line is not blocking well. Now, you could make an argument that, okay, since they're not blocking well, why keep running inside zone? Why keep running in the middle? Get to the outside. And I agree with that. I think you need to now use more outside zone and counter. And counter was their best, in my opinion, their best run concept last year. I think you need to run more of those and get Saquon outside because the tackles can still move. And, it's going to be – now, if Fred Johnson's in there, I know Fred Johnson was great, but we all know Fred Johnson's also more so limited in the run game as opposed to the pass game. So, like, that kind of will – that could have put a wrench into that for against the Rams. Lane Johnson's supposed to be okay and fine for next week. But that's the issue for the run game. It's more so the blocking, and I don't have an issue with the play designs, the running. But if you want to kind of if the interior, if they're not going to block better, then okay, you might have to go to your other run calls that you've had. So, yeah, but I trust Stoutland in that regard.
Yes.
So on the defensive side, PY, I know you talked about offense. What did you take from the defensive side?
Zach Bond is still really, really good.
Yeah.
Jordan Davis is our best defensive player to start 3 games.
I'd say Bond.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'd say Bond. I wouldn't say Jordan Davis. But Jordan Davis, I'd say Bond. I think Bond.
Okay, I'm okay with that. But I just think he's been so explosive. I think he's been very good all over the field. He's making tackles. He's making plays. He's getting to the quarterback. He should have 2 more sacks. If he's able to finish. He's everywhere.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I don't mean to downplay Jordan Davis. He's been consistently good, and this is a Jordan Davis that we haven't seen. So yeah, absolutely. And
Jalen Carter, if you're paying attention, get on that Peloton.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean he did, yeah. Trying to think
that's why I wanted to extend them last season.
On the defensive side, I think obviously Jahad Campbell was solid. Less to your point, I think the run game was, I think in terms of negatives, I think that was the most alarming. I think we kind of expected, and we talked about this last week on Film Don't Lie. We expected the Rams to get theirs in the passing game. I mean, it's Puka Nacua. It's Devontae Adams, Matt Stafford.
Right.
They're going to get theirs. And to be honest, Quinyon Mitchell did an amazing job on Devontae Adams. He did an
Yes, he
amazing
did.
job.
Oh, he
Yes.
was
Traveled with him.
insane.
So amazing job. I don't have any issues. I think Quinyon deserves an A for the performance. Nakua got his, but like you can't help it. Nakua does that to everyone. So like
Right.
you kind of expect that to happen, right? But it's the run defense that was kind of alarming. I thought that they would be able to kind of have their way a little bit with
This offensive line for the Rams isn't anything you're scared of, and to see them blowing those holes open and their backs, really getting – it wasn't so much – they didn't have like a 50-yard run or anything like that, but every time they handed the ball off, they got positive yardage.
Yeah, they were consistent.
Except for fourth down.
Except for fourth down, yeah. That is 100% true. Oh my God, that play was an amazing play on fourth down. So that was alarming. You want to see better. You want to see improvement in that area. Before last week, the Rams' run game really was kind of struggling a bit. I haven't watched the defensive side of the film for the Eagles yet. But I am, tomorrow when I watch, I'm curious to see what type of run concepts they were running, because for the few years since like 2018, 2019, since they got blanketed in the Super Bowl, McVay has kind of changed his run offense, his run scheme to more duo based instead of outside zone based. And this year, that run concept has not been good because they don't have the offensive line. So they've been really struggling running, but yesterday was not the case. They were getting pushed, and so I hope that's just a kind of like a blunder that'll get fixed. But yeah, I think that's what I'd probably that would be my negative defensive takeaway, is that you kind of got to see the run game get better. What do you guys think of this? And this will be our last question before we move on from this game. Do you think this is a potential? If we play out the rest of the regular season and we look back on this game, do you think this will end up being the turning point game for the Eagles season, where the offense woke up? What do you think, Les?
It's so early. I mean, I think it could be. We talked last year about the bye, the game right after the bye, and how how that looked terrible, but it kind of was the day when they started to do things that they wanted to do, or they thought they were on the right track. That was pretty early, but this is even earlier than that. Week 3 that's a very early turning point. I'm not comfortable saying that yet. We might look back on it and say that, yes, but there's so much hard road ahead and so much that can happen, and injuries, I'm not going to say that. It could be. It certainly was an important milestone that we needed to see from the offense in particular, but I don't know about a turning point.
PY, what do you think?
I kind of agree with Les. I just think it's too early. Like, this is like most teams. Like, they just don't play in the preseason. It's them getting all the kinks out. Like, obviously, whatever you feel about Kevin Patullo, it's clear that he's trying to figure out what he wants to be as a play caller. I don't know, maybe like script the first 15 plays. That might help. Just throwing that out there. But like, they're just trying to see like what's working and what's not. And there's certain things that are clicking, and there's certain things that are not. There are certain routes that are working well. There's certain ones that are not. There's certain pass protections that are not being followed properly, and some that are. Like, it's an up and down situation right now. But like week 3, I can't say, oh, it's all figured out. It's just way too early, and like things can change. Like, obviously, if they have like a dominant performance against the Bucks, and they drop like a 30 burger, yeah, you could say this was the turning point. But I just think it's too early.
Yeah,
that's fair. Any other takeaways from the game? I'm trying to think of what else, like other.
Well, special teams for me
Yeah.
I was ready, in addition to dissing Jordan Davis, I was ready to fire Michael Clay at halftime
Poor
because
Michael Clay, man.
they couldn't pick up a kickoff to save their.
It's because they kept doing that knuckleball shit every
It's a
time.
knuckleball. It's a ball lying in front of you at your feet. You put your hands on it and you pick it up and you run with it. I mean, it's not. They didn't put grease on it or anything.
Yeah, that was also like a problem last week, is that the Rams are starting at the 30, the 35, the 40, the 50. We're starting at like 9, 12, 10, 15.
But of course, then the special teams wins the game with the 2 field goal blocks. So, Michael Clay looks good. But they did sign a kick returner today.
Yes. Yeah, Xavier Gibson. Yep.
That's really interesting. I don't know what to make of that, frankly.
I think Darius Cooper I think he's hurt. I think they need another wide receiver to. Mm-hmm. I also don't think they felt too great about Mechie/Bigsby.
Yeah.
I think it's less about Mechie and more about Bigsby in the sense that they brought him in here obviously to be a part of the running game, but also a big part of it to be a kicker returner.
Yeah.
He's not good. He hasn't looked good.
Right.
Well, it's been 2 games.
It is. I'm saying.
And I can't single him out and put the knuckleball stuff like on him because Mechie was having the same issues. It's not like oh yeah, Bigsby, you were having issues and like you just haven't been good. So yeah, like it's.
I'm not saying it, but like
if you're the special teams coordinator and for a week that you're going to be facing this, wouldn't you have those guys doing that every day?
That's what I'm wondering. Like,
you can't tell me they spent the week figuring that out because they sure didn't look like it.
Yeah, it's. I'm wondering that too. So, if they weren't prepared yesterday, I hope they'll be prepared next week because other teams. I think the Commanders have been doing it too. And I would not be surprised if other teams didn't start to pick up with it.
Yeah.
So like that's going to be a thing. And it's, to be honest, I thought it was really smart. Like I tweeted that. I'm like, as frustrated I am with this game, the Rams are doing some cool stuff with this knuckleball stuff. And I'm like, that's really, really smart. And the kickers executing it well. Like,
Unfortunately, his field goal trajectory was pretty much the same as his trajectory. And I happened to I went on the Rams website and listened to the interview with him after the game, and he was like, I didn't do anything different after the first block. And I'm thinking, okay, the ball was blocked. It was really low. I mean, Carter didn't even really jump. You didn't do anything different.
If you look at the other field goal attempts, they were getting really close on every single attempt. So you can really you could really tell.
Well, the last one, we've all seen it 100 times now, and I don't need to tell you this, but Jordan Davis blocks that with his forearm. It didn't get a fingertip on it.
Yeah, it was.
He blocked it here. It was almost his elbow.
Yeah, and it's not like you said. It's not like it was like a 60-yard field goal. It was like what, 40-something?
44. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, it's. I'm not complaining, but it's very questionable. So it's. I can't remember. Les, do you remember in 2005 the Matt Ware block?
Yes, it was actually Quentin Michael. Right? Quentin Michael blocked and Matt Ware scooped it. Yeah. Okay. And Matt Ware was able to just pick that up in stride. It was like the Herman Edwards miracle at the Meadowlands Crumble thing, where he just picked it up and took off. Yeah. And the Chargers were about to win the game with a makeable field goal. I don't remember the yardage, but it wasn't a real long field goal. And suddenly Matt Ware was gone. The greatest play of Matt Ware's career.
Is that the only great play of Matt Ware's career? So that's I was saying at the beginning of the show. I think it's the only other time I remember a block field goal winning the game for the Eagles. So it doesn't happen often. But I mean, how many teams can say they have 2 games in their history where they were won on block field goals? So it's very, very fun. Very the game definitely was a memorable one, and I think that it was nice to see the offense kind of wake up. Like I said, I don't think it was. I thought in the heat of a moment it was like oh, like they made so many schematic changes. Like looking at the film,
Mhm.
it really wasn't as much schematically on Kevin Patullo as I thought. A good amount was on the players too. So the players executing much better was a big difference. But I think that hopefully this will help Kevin Patullo, and I think a lot of the Eagles fans. I think a good portion of Eagles fans should have their phone taken away during
Yeah.
during the game.
Maybe I should. I'm not
Because-
really sure, but I was really,
It's
that looked ridiculous. I mean, that was one of the
but your tweet honestly really wasn't that bad of a take.
Yeah.
Like you just thought that that he should be playing better, but like it wasn't like the amount of times, and this is not just this year. This is like in years past, and PY is guilty of this too. I'll call him out. Like during the middle of the and one of our other friends in our chat too is absolutely guilty of this.
Well, he's the worst. He's the worst at it. He's the worst at it. The first quarter, and he's like, "Game's over, guys."
Yeah, the amount of people that jump to conclusions, extreme conclusions, and during a game, and like yesterday, just so many people like fire Kevin Patullo. Like it's week 3.
Right.
It's like let's all be patient. I still remember last year, middle of the season, when the passing game was having its issues. Everyone was saying the same thing about Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore. And we won the Super Bowl. And now it's revisionist history because a lot of the fans are saying, "Oh, I miss Kellen Moore." No, you didn't.
No.
Like so many of you did not.
The real problem here, perhaps, is that you have all these offensive coordinators, but it's Nick Sirianni's offense.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's some things that, wonderful coach in so many ways, but maybe his passing concepts aren't always cutting edge.
Yeah. Like they're doing, ever since last year, they're doing more stuff that doesn't make it as stagnant as in years past.
They're actually using motion. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I know, like I give Kellen Moore a lot of credit for that. It's not always perfect. There's a lot of motion that doesn't do anything right now. So it's a meaningless motion, but I mean, there are concepts there where, that were introduced last year, and I give, you got to hand it to them. And maybe as the season goes on, hopefully, we'll see more stuff be implemented, and and me be used. But yeah, it's so early. Let's pump the brakes on firing anyone on the coaching staff.
True.
And let's be fair. It's fair to criticize Kevin Patullo for what he should be criticized for, but it's also fair to give him credit for what he should get credit for. And a lot of people don't want to they don't want to admit that things were better in the second half, and I don't see people giving him his flowers like they should be, So it's important to.
But the big guy with the flowers is Jalen Hurts. I mean, they converted so many long third downs, and basically the game-winning touchdown, as it turned out, was a fourth down pass. It was an incredibly impressive second half for Jalen Hurts, I thought.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get into this a lot tomorrow. So, if you're listening, if you want to check out like when Pete and I do like film breakdowns, we'll get into like the nitty gritty of like what we saw on film and everything. It's really interesting stuff. But one point that I'm going to touch on the show, and it comes out Wednesday morning. One thing I'm going to touch on the show is, I think we need to. I think a lot of us have seen this, but I think we need to reiterate for those who don't give him the credit is that Hurts has become such a smart quarterback, and him throwing an out route to a receiver for a few yards may not look like anything, but when you get into the weeds of it, like sometimes those things are impressive decisions. And the touchdown to Smitty on the game, which was the game winner, it may look simple, but when you break it down, it's an impressive thing.
Not the primary receiver on that play. I don't.
Not the primary receiver, exactly. And that's the thing. He's he's become such an intellectual and smart quarterback where his decision making is just top tier. He knows where to go. So like it doesn't have to be a fancy like throw on the move dime, 50 yards down the field, but we saw this so much with Tom Brady, right? Where he wasn't flashy, but he made the right decisions all the time. Like all the time, he just made the right choices of where to go with the football. And sometimes, if to the casual eye, you don't realize how impressive a simple throw like that can be. But it really is when you break down the X's and O's, because it's and that's the beauty of football. When you get into nitty gritty of it, it's really like that chess match. It makes it so much fun to kind of like keep track and follow. So credit to Jalen Hurts, like you said, Les. I think he continues to be phenomenal, and I think he's playing as well as any quarterback can and has been so far 3 weeks in. Considering the circumstances and the play call, like he's, the numbers might not be there in terms of volume, but like he is. There's not much else you can ask of him. Like the mistakes and the misses that he has. Like I told you last week, like it was like maybe like 2 plays where it was like, okay, like could have been better. Like it's the same thing. It's this week again. I saw maybe 1 or 2 plays where I'm like, could have been better, but that happens with every quarterback. So
yes,
he's playing so well.
Agreed.
Any last remarks, Les, before we let you go?
Yeah, it'll be real interesting. The Bucks, it's been a terrible place for them to play. They're going to go down early to try to get acclimated to the heat. I really think, if you look at the games, I mean, the Eagles were missing key players last year.
Yes,
I don't think there's anything. The Bucks are good, and it's going to be a tough game, but I don't think there's any special jinx or anything like that that's going to keep the Eagles from winning this game. I think if key people are healthy, the Eagles are the better team. It is going to be a tough environment to play 4 quarters in 90-degree heat when you haven't been doing that.
Yeah. Yep. And hoping that extra day of prep for that heat, it does make a difference. But I mean, we shall see. But it should be, the Bucks are good. They're rolling. They're confident. I mean, 3 weeks. They're hurt, but 3 weeks in a row they cut it out.
They might get some people back this week, which could go. Who knows? But
Evans is going to be out. What do you really know about what Godwin's going to be his first game back? Maybe Wirfs plays.
Wirfs
is 3 of their other offensive linemen are hurt.
Yeah.
And then Becca, how do you say his name? The Ohio State kid.
Oh, the rookie.
You're talking about the receiver, Emeka Egbuka?
Yeah, Mbuka. Sorry. Yeah, he's kind of nursing a little something right now. Obviously, I think he's going to play regardless.
Yeah, he's going to play. I don't think so.
But they're not healthy right now. I think not having Evans is huge. Because he's probably going to be out at least 2 weeks minimum.
Yeah, because then they only have.
So the last few times they've played the Eagles, when the Eagles are healthy, since 2022, they kill them.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
They were smacking them in that early 2023 matchup. They killed them.
Yeah.
What hurt the Eagles against the Bucks in 2024 or 2023 when in the playoff game? All of their guys are hurt. No AJ.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing could get going. The same thing in 2024. AJ's hurt, Lane's hurt. I don't think Devontae was there as well, right?
There. Nope.
Who was your number 1 pass option in that game?
Goddard.
Yeah.
It was Goddard.
Yeah, it was Goddard and Dotson.
Yeah. Yeah, weird chemistry with that. So yeah, I hear you. And so it's a definitely a different feel going into this game. I'm confident. I'm optimistic. But
it's the Oklahoma Bowl.
It's the Oklahoma Bowl. But yeah, Les, We appreciate it. Hopefully next
Thank you,
week
guys.
we will be, and next week
bless.
we'll have Brinks back. So
Okay.
next week hopefully we'll be talking about finally exercising the demons, and talking about a win down in Tampa. So, but you enjoy the week, and then we will see you next week.
You too. My pleasure, guys.
See you, Les.
Bye, Les.
As Les Bowen. Always great to have him on. All right, PY, we have a few minutes left. Anything else you wanted to touch on, Eagles related or NFL Week 3 related? Floor is yours.
Daniel Jones MVP.
Daniel Jones is impressive. Yeah,
So,
him and Herbert are, I think, should be the front runners.
sure, I have Jones as my top guy right now, just because it's insane. Herbert's playing extremely well, but nobody's really too shocked about it. Like he's an exceptional quarterback. It's a really good team. Like if you look at the Colts, they're like, all right, this is going to be a bottom 5 team. They're not even putting Richardson out there. They're throwing Danny Dimes out, and he's been lights out. They're 3-0 to start the season. His numbers are comparable right now with Josh Allen and Justin Herbert.
And they played a really good team in the Broncos. So I mean, it's like the week before, right? Yeah, in week 2. So this doesn't look like it's fake, and I'm very, very impressed. And I think not only Daniel Jones has he played above expectations, but with the stability at quarterback, now the receiving, the weapons they have on offense can finally shine, because they have a good amount of weapons on that team. They just were never able to shine because
Pittman, Warren.
Yeah. Warren now, Jonathan Taylor is elite.
I was just about to say that. Jonathan Taylor is he's hitting the boost mode right now.
Yeah, he's sick, tearing it up. Josh Downs is awesome. So yeah, they've got a lot of great players there. So that I think the Colts may be for real, and it is exciting. I love the nickname Indiana Jones. I think that's
so funny.
That is
I have one of my bosses.
Nickname.
My boss at work is a diehard Giants fan, and I'm just like, what do you think about this? He's just like, I don't want to talk about it. Great dude, but I feel bad for him because he's just he's not mad. He's like, I actually hope Jones does well, because he's just he's in his own circle of hell right now. He's dealing with the Russ experiment and whether or not they're going to play Dart, and they're playing Jackson Dart like he's 2020 Jalen Hurts, which is so funny.
It's so much fun, yeah. All right, PY. Good show. Let's carry on the Eagles' high and excitement into next week in Tampa, because they're going to need it. Should be exciting. Thank you for all you who are listening and tuned into the show. Again, reminder, Wednesday morning, Film Don't Lie comes out. It's me and Pete Evans. So if you are, if you want to get into the weeds and discussion of the film and what we saw, we will be talking about this Eagles-Rams game. Talking about, it'll be one of our lead topics. We're doing Eagles-Rams and Bears-Cowboys as our lead topics. That we're going to be discussing. So a lot of good discussion there will be had, and plus film breakdown. So check us out Wednesday mornings. If you want to look for us then. For myself, for PY, for the rest of us at A2D, we appreciate you, and we will see you next week. Go Birds!
Go Birds!